here's the video review for Transformers Robots in Disguise Minicon Deployer Drift. He comes with Jetstorm here, stuck into the front of his vehicle mode. And here's where you see what I'm talking about with Fracture. Like, I think Fracture works better in vehicle mode with the sidecar launcher versus just kind of shoving everything into the front of the car with a big old open gap in the hood. Now, if like you could collapse that all the way in and fold something closed and it would pop out like that, that would be one thing. But just having it stuck to the front of the car is a little silly, at least by itself. But yeah, you just push the button here in vehicle mode, and that launches Jetstorm out. Jetstorm transforms very easily. You just kind of grab him in the chest and pull down on his feet, and he unfolds out into robot mode. And robot mode, disc mode, robot mode, disc mode, robot mode, disc mode. Very easy. And again, like I said before, you can launch, can't remember what his name is, Sawback? Yeah, Sawback, with all of his stuff on, but because of the way the support comes in, it kind of gets under this leg, and like, if you launch it, one or two of these pieces is probably going to go flying off. It's easy, if you take the two pieces on the bottom off, it's a little nicer to launch it. And of course, if you have these two pieces off because they're on the little Energon wolf that you can make with them, even better. You can stick them in there with the pieces on, but like I said, you can see how it kind of blocks. In some cases, like the first time I did this stayed on, but just barely. And you can keep it on there just barely, but again, as soon as you launch it, it's going to go flying off just because of the friction of being launched out. So you want to at least remove this bottom leg, if not the top leg. Like I said, you can launch all these things with the pieces on. I don't recommend it because, again, if it launches off a desk or a table or something, those pieces are going to go everywhere and could conceivably break because they are clear plastic. But you can launch them out of there with the pieces on. And actually, Jetstorm with all of his pieces on stuck into the front of the car actually looks pretty cool. We'll show that off actually in just a minute. Well, actually, why don't we go ahead and put all of his pieces on now just to show you. He's got a couple shoulder pieces. Go on up here onto his shoulders, obviously. Give him his little fins up here. He's got two swords that can go in his hands for bot mode. Much like Jetstorms, you do need to plug them in a different configuration for disc mode, but yeah. He's got a little piece that goes behind his head here. He's got a couple shields for his arms. This is the wrong one. These are specific to arm, the way they fit. And then he's got a little kind of knightish faceplate that covers his face, and there he is in armored mode, which is pretty cool. And here he is armored mode Jetstorm with armored mode Slipstream. And again, you take the swords out, and they're going to plug into these weird shaped Tetris type tabs in his forearms. Close them up, take these and plug them into the arms. He becomes kind of, he's got flaming swords. He becomes kind of a little fiery disc. And again, he's a little bit more difficult to get to tab in. For some reason, I'm not sure exactly what piece is doing it, because none of the pieces seem to conflict, but for some reason it just doesn't want to. It's possible to get him locked in here. I've got a picture of him, but it's just, I'm not sure why. So I don't know if it's this piece, maybe. Something about this is keeping it from locking in, and that's the thing. Everything else has clearance, so I'm not sure what exactly is preventing it. Well, I almost had it there. Like I said, it's just weird because nothing's bumping anything else, and when you take all the armor pieces off, he clips in just fine. But you can see with the armor pieces on, it kind of gives Drift a flaming car look. I'm not going to fight with that too much right now. But I did get it to stay in earlier. I don't know why it's so problematic. Again, it took me several attempts to get it to stay in earlier as well. But, oh well. Oh, your face came off. Your face came off! No, part of your face came off. It was actually your face. Anyway, so I'll put those on. And then transform Drift. And Drift is actually a pretty neat little transformation. Because you can see here is his whole kind of dismembered torso here on the bottom of it. And Drift transforms, you're going to pop, unpeg these pieces from the side here. And then this whole hood lifts up. and folds down and around to form his legs. You want to fold those all the way down until they click into place. Fold this piece back, this piece up, and there's a little tab here in his leg that's going to go into this slot here. So push that all the way together so it stays on tight. You don't just want to kind of loosely tab it on there. You push it all the way in and it stays. And then the hood of the car flips forward underneath here to form his feet. And then these pieces come down to form his shoulder pads. They don't appear to lock into place, but maybe they do. Maybe I'm just not pushing hard. Oh yeah, there is a little tab under there. Is that in? I don't know. But there is a little tab that should tab onto his... I guess that is as far as it goes. So it sits in there, but it doesn't really lock into place. But his shoulder pads come down, and then you rotate the launcher piece around on this hinge, and then fold it over so it sits behind his arm. Like I said, Drift kind of hides it. It's sitting there on the back of his arm, but he hides it a little better than Airazor does, or Fracture does. And again, he's got one normal hand here. His arm can move freely forward and back, side to side. No elbow articulation, no head articulation. He does have knee joints, but they mostly lock into place for stability. And then this arm has a kind of pointing finger because he does the same type of mechanism as Fracture, where he kind of go and launches. His launcher swings down on the side. The launcher is not removable, as I mentioned in Fracture's review. It's all spring gimmicky. Again, you can unscrew these screws and pop part of it off and pop out a pin, but it doesn't just pop off easily. So yeah, there's how the gimmick works. And also, his gimmick, and Fracture had it too, you want to make sure that he's on a flat surface, or at the very least, you have to hold his legs like that, because when his legs are pushed together like they'd be in car mode, it blocks the gimmick from activating. So you need to make sure he's flat with his legs, kind of split apart a little bit, and that frees up the gimmick to launch things. So we'll go ahead and go ahead and pop his pieces off and see, maybe we can't figure out what the issue was. So we'll fold him up, we'll stuff him up here into the launcher. There we go, now he's in. Most of his pieces on. And again, to launch it, you just make sure Drift's on a flat surface, push down, and it launches the Minicon, and it works for any of them. And that's essentially the gimmick. Like I said, I think Drift works a little better because while he does have the big launcher, it kind of sits on his shoulder. I think his robot mode overall looks a little better. And but again, that's his robot mode. I think overall I like him better than Fracture. Although I do, as I mentioned, I do think Fracture pulls off the alt mode launcher a little better than Drift does, instead of just shoving it in the front of his car. So there is Drift with Jetstorm. And then here he is with Slipstream and Sawback, his other little Minicons that are out so far. Like I said, $19.99 at Target. I think if you're going to get one or the other, get Drift. I think I like his little Minicons better. Of course, Sawback is a created one for the toys, but Slipstream and Jetstorm are his little minions on the show. It would have been cool if they found a way to make them turn into little discs and attach to his arms on a normal transforming Drift and pop off that way. But oh well. I mean, these guys, I think, what sucks is that you have to buy Drift to get Jetstorm. Because otherwise, I think these guys could go great with just the standard deluxe Jetstorm if you just wanted to have those characters on your shelf. Although, if you have to buy one to get one, Drift really is, I think, the way to go. I just like I said, I just think he's the better of the two that's out right now. Plus, he's orange.